You're watching the Night Report at 10. Your news and weather headlines start right now.
This was an armed insurrection. For the first time in our history, the president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. The violent mob reached the Capitol, and those who called on them to do so held a dagger at the throat of America. But they failed. On this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens again.
President Biden speaking of the tragedy in D.C. on this day 1 year ago. A crowd of insurrectionists stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to stop Congress from verifying the election results that would put Joe Biden in office. For one couple, the terror was magnified.
A year ago, we watched in horror as the rioters invaded the Capitol, and we knew that our son Josh was in the middle of all of that.
Kathleen Roberts' son is a U.S. Capitol Police officer. All they could do was watch and wait for him to let them know he was okay.
You could see the violence, but you didn't really know specifically what was happening. And that, that was really difficult for us to deal with for several hours until we eventually heard from Josh.
This year, they're not waiting.
Desperately wanted to be here to give him a hug a year ago and couldn't, so we came down today to give him a hug when he gets home from work tonight.
5 people, including one of Josh's fellow officers, were killed in the riots, and he's been honored for his bravery. Now, eventually, the rioters broke into the Capitol building, and Michael Anthony spoke with Montana's senators about what happened and how Congress is moving forward.
January 6, 2021 will be a day that the world will not forget. What started as a protest outside the Capitol turned into a riot as people made their way into the Capitol and vandalized its halls. Congress was in the process of certifying the Electoral College, and Montana Senator Steve Daines recalls what had happened after Vice President Mike Pence was taken off of the floor.
I called my wife, first thing I did, because many were watching what was unfolding on TV and certainly were concerned for the safety of their loved ones, and I didn't want her to be overly concerned, so I called her, told her I was safe.
The events of that day are also fresh in the mind of Montana's other senator.
It certainly didn't do this country any good, and certainly gave our enemies an incredible opportunity to show that democracy supposedly doesn't work. We know that it does. It's the best system in the world.
Now, exactly 1 year later, Congress and Capitol Police are determined to make sure security protocols never allow this to happen again.
I'm confident that the U.S. Capitol Police Department has made significant progress addressing the deficiencies that impacted the department's response on January 6th.
While Daines says he's confident the Senate's bipartisan report will help officials prevent any repeat attack, he condemned the House's investigation into the event since they won't release any reports until later this summer. In a statement, Tester said those who deny the reality of that day undermine the country and strengthen adversaries like Russia and China. I'm Michael Anthony, reporting for your news leader.
Congressman Matt Rosendale has not yet released a statement. Now, North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer says he didn't know of the breach until he was being ushered to safety.
We were, moving fairly slowly. I mean, it's, single file, like they always say, if you're leaving a fire, single file, walk quickly, don't run. But as we got toward the bottom, an officer, said, people start running. They're right behind us.
North Dakota's congressman says that was a dark and intense day, but he doesn't want how we remember it to hinder forward progress.
We should never ever downplay what happened, and I mean that seriously, and it was a very dark day in our nation's history, but we shouldn't overplay it either, and we shouldn't negate what we have to do moving forward.
Armstrong was originally appointed to the House January 6th committee, but after Speaker Pelosi vetoed the appointment of 2 Republican appointees, they were all pulled. Now, President Trump is accused of inciting that riot by getting his fan base riled up about the fact that there was election fraud, which multiple judges have dismissed. But the notion has North Dakota Republicans and Democrats at odds. Outgoing Bismarck Senator, Democrat Erin Oban, says one of the reasons she won't run for re-election this year is because of the increased divisiveness that followed the 2020 election. She says her Republican colleagues at the state and national level continue to push the false narrative that the election was stolen. Well, Congressman Armstrong says says that's an unfair and oversimplification of Republicans, telling the Associated Press that people who perpetuate that are silly. He says President Joe Biden was the one elected. Now, following the false election claims and violence last January, former President Trump was banned from social media. Well, now a new social media app called Truth Social is set to launch in about a month and a half, and it's backed by the Trump Media and Technology Group. It pledges to offer user profiles, a news feed, and search functionality, plus notifications. Well, let's turn it over to Henry now to see if warmer temps are on the way.
We fell down to 30 below at the airport in Williston this morning, but the coldest report in North Dakota was in Granora, reporting 38 degrees below zero. Thankfully, things are going to kind of settle down, stabilize as far as the temperatures are concerned, and definitely not that cold tonight and tomorrow morning, but still cold enough. Looking at the lowest wind chills, Mobile 59 below, and Williston 53 below. So yes, the wind chill warnings were definitely in effect for a good reason. They are going to continue for tonight, especially north and east of the Missouri River. We could still have some 55 degree below zero wind chills through noon tomorrow Central Time. But for the moment, soak it up, because we're not going to be nearly this cold tomorrow morning, but we could have another round of Arctic air coming in over the weekend, so kind of a topsy-turvy weather pattern. I'll have the rest of your forecast later during the news.
All right, thank you, Henry. Now, just days before Christmas, 26-year-old Caitlin Berry went missing from Sidney, Montana. Now, the Richland County Sheriff's Office says more agencies are joining in that search. It says the FBI, Montana Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and U.S. Border Patrol are all helping to find out where Berry disappeared to on December 21st. Sheriff John Dennison says it's still a missing persons case, but they are investigating if there's any foul play.
We're still reaching out to various things through social media. I've requested the Department of Justice to assist us in trying to get some information out to the trucking industry, the hotel industries, and that kind of thing.
Berry is 5'4", 100 pounds with green eyes and brown hair. Anyone with information is asked to call 406-433-2919. Now, Montana officials are responding after a judge threw out a 23-state legal challenge to President Biden's revocation of a key permit needed to continue construction on the Keystone XL pipeline. The Attorney General's office says that U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown dismissed the case as moot, saying it's taking developer TC Energy at its word that Keystone XL is dead, rendering any ruling on President Biden's authority to revoke that permit as advisory. Attorney General Austin Knudsen said in a statement, recent events have made it clear that we need more, not less, domestic energy supply. The Keystone XL or similar pipeline could have provided that. He adds that this deprived Montanans and residents of other states who would have benefited from the pipeline's jobs and tax revenue of their day in court. Senator Steve Daines adds Joe Biden declared war on Made in America energy on day one by killing the Keystone XL pipeline. Now Montanans are paying the price. Well, in North Dakota, Rainbow Energy just cleared the last major regulatory hurdle in its pending purchase of Coal Creek Station near Underwood. Senator John Hoeven says the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission has approved the transfer of Coal Creek's high-voltage direct current transmission line to Rainbow affiliate Nexus Line LLC, allowing that sale to be finalized. Hoeven says it's good for the community and the state.
It means a lot of good jobs in mining and at the plant. And again, it's also part of cracking the code on carbon capture, where we work to get 45Q and other programs that really put North Dakota at the forefront of this new technology.
Governor Burgum says this means we can continue innovation over regulation, adding that preserving the baseload generation that Coal Creek provides is critical to U.S. energy security and maintaining a strong regional power grid. The Minnesota Public Utilities Commission agrees, adding that the North Dakota Industrial Commission did award Rainbow Energy a $7 million grant for carbon capture and sequestration. It says it expects the sale to close soon, but not before May 1st. Well, up next, one North Dakota rancher is proving that nothing can stop him from taking care of his herd.
You're watching the Night Report at 10, live on KUMV-TV, your news leader.